All right, welcome back. Our GM Sierra tweet of the night, and this is from the Masters, and it's about the dinner that the winner always gets to choose. And last year was Scotty Scheffler, and you can see what he has on here. A lot of different things, including a ribeye steak, or you're going to get some blackened fish. Got nice cookies at the end of it. Texas ribeye steak. That sounds like a good dinner. They all do. But then again, I would more be interested in the cocktail hour that precedes it and some of the hors d'oeuvres that go there, Chris. To me, that's where you get the night started. And then, of course, Louis the 13th after dinner.
Yeah, Louis the 13th after dinner. that's just, I call that a Tuesday night, Bob.
Yeah,
I do not like the presence of creamed vegetables there. Skillet cookie, good. Ribeye, good. Some of the other stuff there looked pretty solid. Like, he took some safe choices. Tortilla soup's a weird one. I'll tell you this. If I have my druthers, I'm the Masters champion, which, come on, that'll probably happen within 5 years.
Sure.
I'm either doing Texas-style barbecue, like brisket and burnt ends and all that good stuff, or I am going like, I think Hideki Matsuyama did this, I'm going like the full sushi.
Oh, yeah.
Like the best fish you can get, and I'm going with a full sushi theme. It's one of those two extremes and nothing in the middle.
I would start with sushi. Lots of sushi. I think that's the way it should start as part of the hors d'oeuvre process. So I try to jam in as many things as I can do. There'll be more than just a few entree levels. There'll be options every which way to make it fun for these guys. I wonder about the wines. Anyway, let's get to the phones. I don't want to delay anymore because we always run out of time. Rick in Squirrel Hill wants to talk some Penguins, and I know we do too. So, Rick, go ahead.
Hi, Bob and Chris. You know, a lot of people aren't happy with Jari in goal, which I agree, but I think the defensemen need criticized. It seems like they're out of position a lot. They have trouble moving players out in front of the net. They allow too many odd man breaks. And the other thing I'm concerned about, I like Mike Sullivan, but the one thing I don't like, he's against physical players. And I think you need that, especially in the playoffs. Game 1, first period last year against the Rangers, who I think is a dirty team, they tried knocking out half the Penguin team. The Penguins had no response to that.
They knocked out Raquel. Everybody talks about Crosby, but it was Raquel as well.
Hold on. I know they did. I know they knocked out Raquel, and I know why people get frustrated. Frankly, I do too. But, that's how a lot of first-round playoff series start, Bob. One team's trying to throw their weight around. The Rangers, I think, felt like they had something to prove. And I hear Rich there say, hey, the Penguins didn't have a response. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't the response being up 3-1 in that series?
Yes, that's the best
response you
can give.
And having every opportunity. Well, yeah, that's a real response. You had every opportunity to slam the door, and you couldn't do it. I get the frustration with the lack of physicality. As for the defenseman, Jeff Petrie was not good last night. You could say a lot of people weren't good. I think Jari's battling through an injury, but at some point you've got to find a way to be better. Even if you're healthy enough to play, I just can't say injury. And as for Mike Sullivan, Bob, I don't know about you, my chief frustration with him right now is he, like almost every coach, is loyal to certain veterans. Jeff Carter, the fact that he is still out there and he's playing out there in crucial situations is mind-bending. I know he was the victim of some bad luck. He's on the ice for 5 shots. 4 of them go in last night. He's terrible. Whatever line he's on gets snowed in, and they keep trotting him out there in high-pressure situations, and that is not good coaching.
No, it's not. And it's a loyalty that should end because, quite frankly, he hasn't been good. He hasn't scored enough. It's one thing if they score and you're having problems, on the defensive side or whatever, but they're not scoring. And that's another problem in and of itself. Bottom 6 scoring. They haven't gotten enough consistency. The top-end guys are producing. As far as Jari, I found it interesting, Mike Sullivan's comment last night where he said, well, this is not about injury. We're trying to get him back. It makes it sound like they're nursing him along here at this stage of the season, which is weird because it's 9 games into, his return. You would think by now, whatever problem he has. Now, if it is a chronic hip, that's alarming.
It is an injury, though. I think Sullivan's lying. He's saying we're trying to get him back up to speed and things like that. He might not, be too injured to play, or it might not, he's playing on a broken ankle. But it's very obvious that he's coming off of something that has left him less than 100% out there or less than his full self. I think Sullivan's trying to dance around the issue there and sort of use some clever verbiage to disguise what still seems to be the obvious truth. This guy isn't 100%, doesn't trust his body, and doesn't feel like himself in there.
Yeah, and Sean Kramer has an interesting tweet. He hits us up here, and you can do the same on Twitter, at KD Pompak, Chris Mueller, PGH. He says the Penguins should start the Smith tomorrow night. I agree with that. At this point, I can't go back to Jari. You know, they got to. I think their opportunity to catch the Rangers, those 2 points are critical. I don't know that's going to happen now, but they got to fend off some pretty good teams who do still have to play fewer games than the Penguins. But, man, I got to go with my best option. He always says best opportunity to win. Right now, that would have to be Casey DeSmith. Don't you agree?
Man, I guess, but isn't that a pretty grim statement? I'm serious. I mean, this goaltending situation, Ron Hextall neglected it in the offseason. I did not think he handled it very well at all. In fact, really, this entire roster, other than the top 6, which we all expected to be good, and it was their only chance at being competitive, and it has been good, outside this top 6, I feel like Ron Hextall has just done a terrible job of patching holes that almost any casual or avid Penguins fan could see existed in this roster before the season started.
Well, yeah, he chose Kapanen and McGinn and bringing back Carter and giving him more money as opposed to Evan Rodriguez, who has a role on the top line in Colorado, Tanev, McCann, who has 30 goals. You know, I didn't expect that from him, but the bottom line was those are options
John
he could have
Marino
named.
looking pretty good these days still?
John Marino is looking very good, and Ty Smith can't even get up here because of monetary situations. All right, let's go back to the lines here. Chris, we have Raphael in Fox Chapel.
Hey, Bob. Hey,
What's
Chris.
up?
Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Sure.
Just kind of listening to you guys talk about the middle linebacker situation for the Steelers. I agree. I think the need at D-line, O-line, and corner are much more glaring there for the Steelers than middle linebacker. And I think running a 3-4 scheme, I think you can get away with a very good linebacker like we had with Ferrier and Larry Foote, and later with Timmons and Foote. I don't think we're going to find that Tampa 2, dominant, inside linebacker. So I'll just hang up and let you guys listen. And thanks again. Happy St. Patrick's Day, guys. Thank you.
You too, Raphael. Thanks. I think if I'm looking at orders of a need for me in this draft, I still think offensive line would trump everything else. I do know that they still probably and should take a corner at some point. It depends on how it plays out. And I would add another receiver. I wouldn't go overboard on that in the first, 17th pick I have. What's your order of need? At least if it works out. You never know how these boards are going to go.
If one of Skronsky, Jones, and Paris Johnson's there at 17, I don't think twice. I turn in the card with whatever name it is that's remaining. I'm leery of them going with Porter just because I think they are going to fall in love with the player way more than they should, given what his pedigree is, what their relationship as a franchise is with his father. I don't think Porter's as good as like a Witherspoon or a Christian Gonzalez. Gonzalez won't be there. If Witherspoon is, I would consider it. Their own history drafting corners in the first round is pretty checkered, so that always gives me pause. I think one of the first 3 picks has to be a wide receiver, though, because that has, like Steven Sims today, restricted free agent. They don't they don't tender him an offer. I mean, there's another guy. So what are they doing? Yeah, I know. That was very surprising. So it's Pickens, it's Johnson, it's Calvin Austin, it's Anthony Miller.
Anthony Miller, yeah.
I mean, you need a receiver. Listen, I have a very wise friend, a football obsessive, who said something to me today when we were texting about inside linebackers. It wasn't Pony, by the way, off the air, who just said inside backer in like a 3-4 is the running back of defense. Teams still covet them. They really want those guys, but they're really not worth taking in the first round. Like for every Micah Parsons, this should tell you everything you need to know, Bob, real quick. I'm on my soapbox here, but Micah Parsons was drafted as an off-ball linebacker. A lot of people might forget that by now. And then you know what Dallas figured out? Holy crap. Like, no one in the NFL is better at rushing the quarterback than this guy. Or maybe there's 2 people off the edge, Bosa and Watt, who can do it like this guy can do it. Yeah, we're probably going to put him there because that's where he's more valuable and can impact the game on a more regular basis.
We're due for a break. Good point. We'll have more when we come back right here on Pittsburgh CW and 93.7 The Fan.